Is this okay? I think I'm good. Damn, I really need a tripod. Okay, so if you're watching this video, you're probably in one of two situations. One, you want to get into fighting games. Two, you've already gotten into fighting games, but you want to get better. With that being said, one of the most common topics in the FGC is which controllers we should be using in a fighting game. Honestly, it's actually kind of surprising that this is a very common topic to talk about because people don't seem to understand that it kind of doesn't matter, but we'll get more into that. In this video, I'll be going over many controllers. Actually not too many, maybe just four main controllers. The first one we have, hang on, is the pad. We got the pad. This is specifically the DualShock 4 for PlayStation. Next we have this, the arcade stick, or arcade fighting stick, fight stick. This specific one is for Super Street Fighter 4. It was for the Xbox 360. We're also including Smash Brothers, okay? We're including Smash Brothers. With that being said, I have the Nintendo Switch Pro controller as well as the GameCube controller, all right? We're gonna be talking about Smash Brothers as well because you guys need to remember that Smash Brothers is also a fighting game from a competitive aspect. So please remember that. It's a platform fighter, but it's still a fighting game. It could be a party game too, but it's both. Whether you talk about if it's a fighting game or a party game, I think it's both. So remember, we're including Smash Brothers as well. So I'm gonna go over each controller and I'm going to go over how I use these controllers, when I use these controllers, and after I go through all of them, I will just come and answer the question of which controllers should you be using. So let's go over the DualShock 4, awesome, or the pad, if we want to be more general about it. The pad, you know, it doesn't just include this, it also includes DualShock 2, 3, DualShock 1 even, Luffy, that player who won EVO, Ultra Street Fighter 4 EVO with the DualShock 1, okay? We're also including Xbox controllers as in Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. We're also including the PlayStation 5 controller, DualSense, the DualSense, not DualShock 5. So when it comes to this controller, I use this controller for almost every single fighting game I play, I use this controller. You're probably wondering, okay, then why do you have a fighting stick? I'll get to that later, relax guys. I use this for everything. I use this for Ultimate Mario vs. Capcom 3, we're talking about fighters, DNF Duel, Blaze Blue, Cross Tag Battle, any fighting game you can think of, I just use the pad. Why do I just use the pad? I grew up with the pad. I grew up playing on the pad. I grew up with the PlayStation 2, all right? I've been using PlayStation 2 controllers all my life. It's just, I'm just used to it. So if I'm getting into a fighting game, I'm just gonna use what I've always known all my life, which is why Luffy, a player who won EVO in Ultra Street Fighter 4, he used a controller that he's known all his life, the PlayStation 1 pad. He's known it all his life, so it makes sense for him to be very good with it because you're accustomed to it. So yeah, I use this pad for anything, almost anything. Well, no, anything, any fighting game. So with that being said, what about the fight stick? Well, I actually do like fight sticks. I love the arcade stick. I love using it. It feels nice. I like the sound of the buttons here. But what have I used this for? Well, I've used this for a number of games. I've used it for Ultimate Mario vs. Capcom 3, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Of course, I've used it for Street Fighter games. Am I good using the fight stick? I'm decent. I'm okay with it. It does feel weird at first, but I get used to it after 10 to 15 minutes of trying to like warm up and stuff. So I get used to it. It's a way to travel back in time to the arcade days where you just put your quarters in and you just go at it. If you're a person who grew up with arcades and you just want to go back to the arcade and just play just like that, maybe you should get yourself an arcade stick. There's some very high quality ones that are at a good price. So yeah, nothing much to say about the arcade stick. I don't use it that much, but I have used it before and it feels nice. Okay, We're going to talk about Smash Brothers. There are some of you who don't like Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is actually very nice and very entertaining to watch competitively. It's also very nice and entertaining to play on a competitive level with competitive rules, right? So, what do I use? Well, I use the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. Yes, I'm a Pro Controller user. I don't use freaking GameCube controllers. Whoa. Why do I use this? Feels comfortable. I've been used to it for a while, and it just felt nice to me. Actually mapping buttons to this controller and playing matches with it, it's honestly very comfortable. I could do crazy things with this. If you look at some of my videos, I made, I think 2 videos? I made only 2 videos on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but those were just clips, nothing too impressive. I know how to do some stuff. I know how to do some combos, some nice plays and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm comfortable with the Switch Pro controller. So then last but not least, we have the GameCube controller. Have I used the GameCube controller for Smash Bros. Ultimate? Yes, I have. Actually, when I first got the game, I've used the GameCube controller for a while. It felt nice because it's like I've had the GameCube when I was a kid, and I played Super Smash Bros. Melee as well as Brawl on the GameCube controller. And let's not forget Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. I've also played that on the GameCube controller before, and you know, it's what I've known all my life. So then why did I switch to the Switch Pro controller? While I was in college, I was in the lounge room on my college campus. I was with some of my friends from my esports club, and one of my friends allowed me to try out her controller, her Switch Pro controller, and it felt very comfortable. And I'm just like, wow, these buttons actually respond a little more quickly because there's less travel distance on, especially on the triggers. Like back here, you see how much travel distance there is? There's more travel distance compared to this right here. It's just click, click, and then this one is like push and click, push and click, push and click, 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 push and click, push and click. So yeah, I've used the GameCube controller a bunch of times for a very long time. But eventually you find something that's more comfortable for you. With that being said, we get to the end of this pretty short video. Does it really matter which controller you should be using? The short answer to that is no, it shouldn't matter. But at the same time, it does, because it's basically which controller you feel more comfortable using. When you pick up a controller, make sure it makes sense that you're using that controller. For example, I use the pad for all of my fighting games. Why? Because like I said, I grew up with the PlayStation 2, and all I've used was the pad, and that's all I've done. So it makes sense for me to just keep on using it. Now, with that being said, another factor that comes into play is how comfortable do you feel using the controller? This is where the GameCube / Pro controller comes in for me. Although I've used the GameCube controller almost all my life for Smash Brothers, I eventually ended up switching to the Pro controller because I simply felt more comfortable. In some cases, what matters more is which controller you feel more comfortable using. And in other cases, what matters is which controller you've been using your whole life, which controller you've been using the longest. With that being said, you'd probably be more accustomed to that controller, which is why you should probably use it. Those arguments are valid. So with that being said, does it matter which controller you should use? Yes and no. No, because you just gotta pick one and then stick with it. Yes, because maybe it matters what kind of history you've had with that controller and how comfortable you feel using it. And like I said, make it make sense when you're using that controller. If you've used a pad your whole life, it's okay to use an arcade stick and stuff like that. But if you're trying to get better at fighting games, switching from your pad to an arcade stick after using your pad for so long, it just throws most of your muscle memory out the window. So it's kind of like starting back from square one almost. So you have to be aware of that. And of course, at the end of the day, no matter which controller you use, whether it's the pad, the arcade stick, GameCube controller, Switch Pro controller, hell, a Guitar Hero controller, hell, even a freaking Donkey Kong bongo set. What matters is if you love fighting games and you want to get better your own way, no matter which controller you end up using. And that about wraps up this video. If you enjoyed this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing these kinds of videos again, but it did seem kind of fun to do. I think the next video I do of this, maybe I should actually go over actually getting better at specific games, getting better at a lot of other aspects of fighting games, as well as muscle memory and whatnot. Maybe I should give a few tips in this kind of format. And like I said, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Kevin. I'm signing out. Bye!